Okay, everyone, we are here with daily Q&A and we might have some reflection reports. So just mention the number of reports and...
Avasai Bhante, there are in total 8 reports. Report number 1, walking meditation. I was able to feel the feet touching the rough mat, was able to concentrate on each step. But as I walked and saw the images of human internal organs and the face with worms on it, I felt very disgusted. Each time I walked towards the images, felt so unpleasant, but continued my walking practice with uneasy hatred towards the images. Sitting meditation. I was able to focus on my breath, few breaths. I am able to sit still for 15 to 20 minutes. I observed the yawning and tearing. I continued to pay attention on my breath after yawning. Daily activities. Mindfully drank my cup of water. I felt the warm water passing through my mouth and throat, lips on the mug. I was able to swallow mindfully.
Okay, so you can simply select a different place. That's all you have to do. Simply go to the upper part where you can walk comfortably without any disturbances. That change would do, right? So when it comes to mindfulness practice, we don't really try to do those asubha reflections. Instead, simply you continue with the present moment mindfulness and that's enough, right? So you have to go find a different place. Then it will be much easier. That way we can handle, that way we can manage. I think that would be the best solution here.
Report number 2, walking meditation. Focused on mindful stepping and the duration of mindful walk increased. Forceful concentration stopped. Thank you, Bhante, for the advice. Thoughts came and went freely, but sometimes mind clinged to them. We'll try to improve sati. Your valuable feedback guidance is required. Sitting meditation. Posture change is practiced. Pain was focused as when it came, but not fully successful. Time to time change the posture as the pain was unbearable. Mindfulness breathing practice. Sitting on the chair. The gradual development of concentration is gained. Calmness in body and mind prevailed for about 30 minutes. Daily activities. Mindfulness was kept in activities as when remembered. The message to be mindful was there. Sadhu sadhu.
Yes, repetitive practice. You are partly successful, and when you repetitively practice, when you do the walking again and again, when you go for the sitting again and again, when you go for the daily activities mindfully time after time, then you become more and more successful. That's the very idea of the training. It's like driving a vehicle. You don't know how to do it, you struggle. If it is a manual vehicle, then while changing gears, you get stuck. Right? So that is the training, learning phase. But gradually when you do it repetitively, you realize one day without any effort, you are simply driving. Gears are changing without you even knowing. Right? That ability is developed. That skill is developed. So same goes for the mindfulness practice. Now you know what to do. You do it repetitively and you become more and more successful.
Report number 3, sitting meditation. Primary object is watching in and out breath. Initially breath was felt deeply, but gradually it became slower and was not felt at all. A vacant area was observed initially as a small circle, and gradually the entire view was a blank area. Kept watching the space with thoughts coming in and knowingly and soon disappearing until the breath is felt again slowly and the attention is diverted to breath. The body is felt like a rock. Walking meditation. A slower pace in the steps gave me time to see the pain and a noise coming from the ankle area and noticed a stretching effect on the upper area of the foot. Time and again the smell of food distracted the continuous concentration. It was a pleasant sensation.
Yes, so that's good. You know what to do in the walking, or you know what to do in the sitting. Some other distractions come, but that's okay. Let them come, and among these distractions, you try to be mindful. That's the very idea. Sometimes thoughts appear. Among these thoughts, you try to be mindful. So that way, you have to continue. If you think that there won't be any distractions, then it's not gonna work. There'll be distractions, but you get better at them. You get better navigating. That's the very idea. And even when you go out to the world, when you develop this practice, you realize troubles come. Certain problems you have to face. Incidents happen. But among all these things, you are able to navigate your life much better. Resilience, that quality of your mind is improved. Time after time, certain troubles, problems come. Your mind get deformed, but you are able to return to the natural or the normal state much faster. That's the very idea. So they have this nice toy that shows the quality of resilience. It's called Weeble toy. They say weebles wobble, but they don't fall down. So the wobbling is there, and you can't, they won't fall down. You can't knock it down. It always gets up, standing posture, right? So that ability also we have in our mind. When you train your mind repetitively, you become resilient towards the world. Problems, issues come, but you are able to return to the normal much faster. Buddha says a trained mind. That's the term is used for the quality of resilience. When you train your mind repetitively, no matter what problems that come, your mind is able to return to the normal state much faster. So train that quality and you will see the benefits of it.
Report number 4, primary object, breath, sitting meditation. I noted the breath as it breathes in and out. I felt the in-breath entering the right nostril and the out-breath leaving the left nostril. The focal point is somewhere near the tip of the nose. I was able to retain my attention on the breath only for a short while. After that, images and voices appear and the mind gets distracted. Sometimes I was able to pull my attention back to the breath. Sometimes I will pay momentary attention to the images and then quickly move the focus back to the breath. The mind does not seem to be alert when this happens. Walking meditation. Primary object, feet. I noted my feet as it raises, lifts, and moving and stepping down. I feel the texture, hardness of the ground as my foot landed and the lightness as it glides through the air. However, if the walking pace is slow, I will become sleepy. Is this due to too much concentration? How can I avoid this? Thank you, Bhante.
Now, dealing with those images that come, right? Now you have certain experience with it. Due to the practice, now you know such an incident happens. You have a certain experience facing it, right? So next time you will be much better prepared when this event happens. That's the very idea. Even in the walking, now you know the sleepiness comes. Probably when you slow down, the sleepiness comes. At certain occasions, the sleepiness comes. Maybe when you continue, not initially, when you continue for like 30-40 minutes, this appears, right? So all those things are new to us initially. We don't know what to do. But gradually, when you practice repetitively, you realize now you are much better prepared. Before the sleepiness comes, there are some signs. You can see some signs, probably in your primary object or probably in your walking process, right? So when you notice those signs, you know it's about to come. You are better prepared. You can go through that very experience with more awareness, with more mindfulness. Same goes for the images that appear. Before the images come, you can see certain changes in your primary object, the breath, right? And when you notice those changes, you know that the images are about to appear, right? So that way, you do it repetitively and you are better prepared for the next time. That's how you can progress. That's how you can go deep into the meditation, right? Time after time you practice and we become much more familiar with the process. So continue and let us know your progress.
Report number 5, walking meditation, primary object, sensation on the foot. Started to walk early in the morning using choir mat. At the beginning, I felt the roughness and smoothness while walking. My left and right foot touching rough parts and smooth parts of choir mat. While concentrating on sensations, I realized my mind is proliferating on future thoughts for some time. I command my mind to stop it and feel the sensation on my feet again. I felt the roughness in some steps and smoothness in certain steps. After some time again thoughts were flowing, well thinking its way of mine. I came back to my primary object. After an hour I felt thirsty and decided to stop walking meditation. Sitting meditation. Primary object, breath in and out. After sipping warm water, sip by sip, I came to sitting meditation. I started with deep breathing 2 to 3 times. I came to normal breathing cycles. I felt the breath in a bit cold, breath out a bit warm. While concentrating on coldness and warmness, my breath got softer and it disappeared. It was silent for a while. No thoughts were provoking. Everything seemed to be silent. Silence was stopped after hearing a background noise. Without thinking much again, concentrate on breath in and out. Like this, several cycles were practiced. After some time, I stopped the sitting meditation. It was around 6 a.m. Taken 1 hour almost. I felt happy. My mind felt lighter. Kindly advise Bhante.
Yes, so all the reports are progressing well. What we have to advise is to, simply continue. This one also good. Right now you can see the questions, doubts that you had initially. They disappear and you become much more familiar with the practice. And it's not a real challenge, Most people, they don't like to do this. They think that it is so challenging, it is so difficult. They can't manage it. Those type of thoughts come. But when you get into the water, when you start swimming, it's not that difficult. It's the planning part, that's too difficult. Even probably like few days ago, one person was asking, I want to come to a retreat. I like meditation, all those thoughts, but I am not ready to do it. I am not ready to do it, but will I be able to handle that pressure? So many questions were there, many doubts were there, thinking about the process. Not actually doing it, simply thinking, simply doubting. So I told him, simply jump into the water. Right? When you jump, you have to swim, no? So otherwise you drown. So it's a risk that you have to take. And when you jump into the water, you realize all those planning, doubts, they didn't help that much. Instead, you simply figure out a way to survive. You simply figure out a way to, swim. That's the very idea. So instead of think before jumping, you can jump and then think. Right? then it becomes much easier. No more questions, no more doubts, because you are in water. Now no time to think, no time to doubt yourself. Instead, you have to figure out a way to swim. That's the best way. Otherwise, you do so much planning, so many arrangements, coming to a retreat, all those planning processes, doubting processes come, but it never works. That day will never come, right? But simply jump into the water and you somehow figure out a way to swim. That's the very idea. So when they get into meditation, they realize it's not that difficult. You can manage. Most of us, we have that potential. It's a risk that we have to take. Once you take that risk, then you can gradually develop your practice, and you can see that you are progressing. Same goes for the monkhood. Many people, they think about becoming a monk. They like that peaceful lifestyle, but never jump into the water, right? No, not even risking it. But one day you have to jump. All those planning, thinking never works. I remember when I came here, I came with a huge baggage, all the necessary things. But when I continued for a few months, the baggage became lighter and lighter. I brought many unnecessary things, so had to give up, right? All the planning wasn't that necessary. This is a different environment, no? Different practice, different nature. You are in the nature, you are with among other people. So all the plans, they don't work that much, right? You develop the ability to go with the flow. That's the very idea, and that becomes the very practice. You are simply facing your day-to-day challenges with a certain level of mindfulness. Sometimes you fail, but there are many more opportunities for you to do it, right? There's this saying that says the night never ends with a single dream, right? Throughout the night, you see many dreams. Only thing is you can't remember. So either philosophically that statement is correct, scientifically that statement is correct. Right? Throughout the night, many dreams are there, but we don't remember them. Same goes for the life. You will fail, but you get another opportunity. Tomorrow is a fresh day. Again, you can try. Today you are sick, but today you tired, you don't like the practice, but tomorrow again a fresh start. Right? So that way, when you continue for a while, you really develop the ability to go with the flow. You realize troubles, difficulties come, but we get many opportunities. It's not like the outside world. Once an opportunity is lost, it's lost. That's the outside world. But when it comes to the practice, every moment is a fresh. It's a fresh moment that we get. This moment you made a mistake, but next moment you can again try. Do it once again and be successful. That's the very idea. So in this practice we make many mistakes. Sometimes we break precepts. Right? We get into certain arguments with other people. We face certain problems. But that's not the end of the day. That's not the end. Instead, you simply continue. Again, tomorrow you can try. Again, it's a fresh day. The next moment is always a fresh. Right? That ability we are exercising. We are making mistakes, but we are simply moving forward. We face certain illnesses, problems, but we are simply moving forward. We face certain friction with other people, but we are simply moving forward. And when you train that ability, you realize every moment is afresh. Next moment is not spoiled by the previous moment. You make mistakes, but next moment is afresh. Right? It's not spoiled. And you get to embrace that. You get to experience that. And whatever the mistakes you make, you are simply able to forget them and move forward. People feel that they are making mistakes, but they don't care. It's not like you have taken it for granted. Instead, you know that you are making mistakes. You acknowledge your mistakes, but you move on. You move forward with your practice, with your process. Lot of outsiders, non-meditators, they expect mindful practitioners or meditators to be perfect. Whenever you make a mistake, they will pinpoint saying that you are a meditator, you are doing all these mistakes. They will say you are a practitioner, you are breaking your precepts. All those accusations will come. Right? They think that we will become some kind of a superman or a superwoman, will become perfect. But that's not the case. We are human. We all are defected. We all make mistakes. But now we know how to move on from them. We make mistakes, we acknowledge them, and we simply continue. That very process will help you to find peace in your mind. It will help you to become, much more peaceful. It will help you to let go of your worries, thoughts, and those type of troubles. So this very process becomes the path, right? So we are on the path. We simply has to continue this process. Sometimes you get demotivated. Sometimes you face problems. But always remember, tomorrow will be a fresh day. Next moment is not spoiled. It is afresh. That ability we are exercising time after time.
Report number 6. Mindful sitting meditation. Meditation object, breath. Focused on breath entering and leaving nostrils. Duration 30 minutes. 90% of the time mind was focused. Breath gradually faded away. I felt as if I was entering an empty space. I felt positively excited. As soon as I got excited, breath reappeared. How to prevent excitement and remain neutral in this situation? I tried contemplation of anicca. Some other time, laziness was affecting meditation. Was able to overcome that. Compared to the beginning, lesser and lesser thoughts came to the mind. Mindful walking meditation. Duration 1 hour. Focused on sensation of the feet. Mind stays with the meditation about 50% of the time. Random thoughts enter the mind. Practice mindfulness while walking and eating.
Right. So good observation. Now the breath, it settles down, and this empty space or peaceful kind of a experience appears. But you are getting excited towards it, and again the breath becomes rough. Right? So this experience, this observation is very nice. That's what happens. In the meditation, when we are excited, that very excitement will ruin it. You have a good meditation experience today. Tomorrow you go and wish for the same experience. But it will never come. Right? So that excitement, expecting the same experience again, it's ruining it. Right? So how to overcome this? The only way is to face it many times. When you are facing it for the very first time, you can't control your excitement. But when you go for the next time, you won't be that excited. Right? That way, repetitively going there, repetitively facing that experience, you develop that ability. There is no other way. If you recall that earlier comment, now we make mistakes. This is the mistake that you have made. You were too excited for that very experience and it ruined it. But next time, another opportunity you get. Once again, you can try. That time also probably not very successful. But again, you can try. Repetitive approach, and gradually you become better at it. You know how to enter these experiences without much excitement. So this behavior is natural to a beginner, but you can repetitively practice and get over it.
Report number 7. Walking meditation. When my feet touch the sand track, I can sense some part of the track. The sand is finer and more comfortable. 80% of the time during walking meditation, I was mindful. 20% my mind gone to thoughts. Within the 80% of the mindful time, 30% was focused on leg movement and sensation to my soul. 50% of time, my attention was diverted to sounds and smell of the surrounding area. Compared to sitting meditation, I found myself more mindful in walking meditation. Sitting meditation. Primary object breathing. I felt in and out breath through my nostril. However, after a very short while, my attention drifted away. I could barely retain my attention in 10 breaths without interruption. I felt back pain after a while. The pain slightly increased. Most of the time, my attention was caught by the pain and discomfort feeling of my legs.
Right, so 80% is enough, no? Mindful for 80% of the time. That's more than enough, right? Don't worry about the remaining 20%, right? It's like that 80-20 rule. 20% of matters will give you 80% of results. Then if you want to increase the remaining 20%, then you have to focus on those 80% matters, right? So 80% is enough. Simply focusing on certain things, you can manage it, right? It's a plus, no? So that's enough, right? Don't worry about the remaining 20%. Let that unmindfulness be, right? For 20% of the time, I am unmindfulness and I am happy with it, right? So that's the very way of practice. Most of the practitioners get it wrong. They try to make it 100%. It's never going to happen, right? Unmindfulness is also natural to this mind. Otherwise, mindfulness is not permanent, right? They say everything is impermanent except for mindfulness. That's not going to work. That's how they want to make it. Even the practice is impermanent. Same goes for the teaching, right? Otherwise, everything else in the world is impermanent except for mindfulness. That's not going to work, right? So let that 20% be. Don't try to improve it. Don't try to do it. You are happy with 80%. That's more than enough, right? And with that happiness, with that experience, we simply continue. And when you continue that, you realize certain portions you can't touch. We have, for the sake of humanity, we have to say that we all are defected. We make mistakes, and that is natural. You don't have to worry about it that much. You have done your part, and you are happy with it, right? That very ability is important for a meditator. Otherwise, most people, for the sake of the practice, it becomes a pain-seeking behavior. They try to make it 100%. They try to make it perfect. And it's not going to work, right? I remember one time for one of the children's sessions, they were saying that, I think one girl, she said that she made her bed mindfully. That was her experience. So I asked her whether you were able to do a perfect job. Then she said, yes, I did a perfect job. Made the bed perfectly. Then I told her that you do little bit of imperfect job, right? Mindfully you leave some mistakes. We don't try to achieve 100%. Instead, 80% is enough. 80% is enough. Mindfully we are leaving some mistakes, knowing that you can't make it 100%. Knowing that you can't approach or target perfection in an imperfect world. That's not possible, right? So that idea is important. So be happy with 80% and continue. Sorry? Why to achieve? 80% is enough, no? Yes, we try to be happy with it. Yes. Even for Arahants, it will be imperfect achievement. If you go for Buddhahood, then you can reach 100%. Right? Even Arahants, they are left with some taints. Right? So that very idea is important for the commoner, the practitioners. Yes.
Bhante, this yogi at the end is asking about the pain, and most of her attention was on the pain also latterly.
Is there in the report?
Yes, I felt back pain after a while. The pain slightly increased. Most of the most of my attention were caught by the pain and discomfort feelings of my legs. Last bit.
That's in the sitting. Yeah. So you can go into a little bit comfortable posture. Maybe it's too much for you. You can take some kind of a smaller chair or something, and with that you can try. That's why I said yesterday, you can't make your postures, you can't adjust your postures within 7 days. That's too much. That's too painful. So you might have to take it easy and continue your practice. And within few months, you can really approach the posture that you intend. Probably half lotus or probably hero pose, something like that. You can approach within few months. If you try to change your posture within these few days, it'll be too difficult, right? So take it easy. That's the very idea.
Last report, number 8. During laying down in bed, I focused on the breath. I felt the in-breath as a rising of the abdomen and cool air rushing down the back of the nose and throat. I experienced the out-breath as a falling of the abdomen and a releasing of air through the mouth unforced. I maintained focus on the breath for about 20 to 30 breaths, but had a sense of very vague mind chatter in the background. After 2 to 3 sets, I went into deep state of awareness of everything. Then everything was still and quiet, and mind and external. A realization came that felt it did not come from me or the mind. Everything is spiritual. Only by not perceiving it, so can it not be felt. On a similar occasion, another insight. The mind seeks only to self-actualize itself, making itself the ego, appear separate, different than all else. This is its victory. I observe these realizations without placing attachment or grasping, letting them come, then returning to the breath and external observation.
Yes, so such insights appear. It's okay that if they naturally appear, that's fine. But don't assign so much value to them. Simply acknowledge it and continue with your practice. If you start assigning so much value to these things, then those very insights become a hindrance to your practice. So they come, they naturally appear, you acknowledge it and you simply continue with your practice. That's what you have to do. Otherwise, when you assign too much value to them, they take over your meditation. Instead of simply being mindful, you start to, search or seek for these insights. That's not going to work. By being mindful, these things appear. Not the other way around. You can't go hunt for them. That's not going to work. Instead, simply be mindful, be in the moment. And whenever these things come, we acknowledge them. We continue with our practice. It's always an observation that we try to do. There is no rush to come into a conclusion, right? Usually the scientific experiments, you have a method, you have a observation, you have a conclusion, right? But in this noble experiment, we get rid of the conclusion part. You have a method, you have an observation. We do it repetitively, right? We have no rush to come into a conclusion. We simply continue. Today, this is my observation. Tomorrow, it will be different. Today, this is my insight. Tomorrow, it will be different. That possibility is always there. So we simply continue without coming into a conclusion. So that way, if you continue, those insights won't be a hindrance to your practice. So today, we are done with the discussion. Most of the reports you can see the initial doubting phase is over. Now you really get into the practice and it's good. Now we'll continue for these few days and see how we can progress in this. 2:45 would be the sitting meditation time. 2:45. Yes. Till that time you can do your mindful walking.